Hello everyone, my name is the Chemist77 and welcome to episode 29 of Farming Minecraft. I hope you enjoyed the little time lapse start of the video. That was just me on stream preparing this area in front of me here. And in this area is going to be going a rather large ice farm. If I turn the schematic on, there it is. Yeah, it's quite big. So we're going to be building an ice farm today. Ice is usually very useful for item transportation. It's good for like water ways, things like that, and sometimes can be quite good for building. If you saw, for example, Scar's latest Hermitcraft video, he used it as like the roofs of the towers on his castle, which I hadn't thought of using ice in that way. It's really cool. But yeah, this is, I think, probably the most materials I've ever needed in a single build so far. I think this might even trump the gold farm. Yeah, but this is basically working using flying machines. And we can see here, and daylight detectors. So this observer will get pushed back and forth, and then each day the flying machine will get pushed off, and it will just push the ice down. We then have some waterlogged stairs here and some slabs that basically refill in the water once it's gone past. Now, this is again another farm that I've designed myself. I spent a lot of time in creative mode coming up with the design, and actually if we go into creative mode I can show you a bit. So here we are in my farming test world. You can see this is the ice farm design. This is where I got the schematic from, and yeah, but we can see there's a lot of other stuff going around from my testing. So my initial testing idea was to use Frostwalker armor stands. You can see them down there. Unfortunately, they're down there, and there's essentially a bug with armor stands where if they're pushed with pistons or slime blocks or etc., if they've got Frostwalker boots on, sometimes they won't change the ice to frosted ice, and that's needed. One to get the you can see one just down there. One to get the armor stand actually across the water, and two uses frosted ice as a block to form regular ice. So if you don't know, ice actually needs a full block to generate. And so the way Frostwalker armor stands work is they get pushed across, and the frosted ice that gets generated acts as a block that ice can form against. And so basically after spending, I don't know, 2-3 hours trying to get that to work, only to then Google it and find a bug report stating that it doesn't work, I moved over to this sort of design. And this is sort of a multi-cell design. And the first thing I wanted to do here was actually figure out, okay, how big can I make the design? Because of course ice freezes, at a certain speed. And if it's too big, then the ice isn't going to freeze fast enough for when the flying machines come over. So obviously you can make these really small ones here, just 3x3, but obviously you only get 8 ice per cell here. And also this freezes really quickly. This one here, this is 7x7, I believe. Yep. And essentially, this is the design I've gone for. And if I break all this ice here, I can show you why. And again, it's to do with freezing rates. Because the reason I want to be careful about how big I'm making this is because I want to make sure as much ice can freeze as possible. Like with the 3x3, it's all freezing really quickly. Which, yes, is good, but it means that then I'm just going to end up with loads of ice sitting there and not actually forming. So I have a mod called Carpet Mod installed. You can see ice already starting to form there. And so what I can do is if I do tick warp and I do it 24,000 ticks, that is for 1 day. And so what it's doing right now is it's running the game really quickly. And so we can see that ice is forming really quickly. We can see 3x3, that's already formed up. But in the time that that one's taken 8 ice to form, each of these has formed loads of ice. We can see the That one's already formed, but this one is also still forming ice. And we can see that one there just fills up, and the tick warp has just finished completing. And so that's why I've gone for this one, because it allows as much ice to form as possible compared to individual modules of these. Now, sometimes it won't fill up all of these. If I go, well, I can't show you in the farm there because I've cut it out. But you can see it sort of goes to a similar effect like this, and that it gets a bit jagged. And I'll show you the farm work in the form of time lapse at the end of the video. So yeah, stick around if you want to see that. But for now, we're gonna go into the survival world and build this up. So it's gonna be another time lapse. There's gonna be 3 time lapses this episode. That's a lot. So yeah, let's go. And there we go. One massive ice farm. That took me about 3 hours to build that up. But yeah, it's done, and we can see ice is forming on the surface here. You probably saw in the time lapse I activated the flying machines a couple times when building them up. So we've got a little bit of ice down below, slowly making its way in. But yeah, now there's a few things to note when building an ice farm. The first thing is obviously you need to be in a cold biome, which is why we're building it here and not out in the end or out at over by the starter base. I'm also not building it over by the starter base because this thing is massive. It would take up far too much room. The other thing is you need to be careful of the light levels around the ice, because if they are too high, I think it's 10. I'll double check and put a thing on the screen in editing. Anything above a certain light level, the ice will actually melt. And so we've also had to be careful of that in here, which is why we're using soul lanterns, because they are not bright enough to melt any ice. Another thing to note is that ice does not grow or develop by random tick speed. It may look like it because it does go at a similar rate, but it is not. It is not random tick based. It has its own tick called, I think, something like ice tick. And you know, unlike whereas in creative you can do something like random tick speed, you can't actually do that to the ice tick speed in vanilla Minecraft. Obviously, as I showed you before in the creative world, I can do the tick warp. That just makes the game actually run faster. So yeah, that's how that works. And the last thing to really note with ice farms is that for ice to form, it needs direct skylight. So basically, we can't put a roof over this. It's kind of annoying, but because it possibly means that we could accidentally set a flying machine off. It shouldn't happen because obviously the observer that would actually set it off is covered by the note block here. This one, if this one got triggered, it would be fine. I think it would only be if it's like whilst it's moving across for the split second that the observer's actually stopped. If a snow layer formed on it, then it might cause problems. But it shouldn't do. It shouldn't be too bad at all. But yeah, that will do it for today. Actually, one last thing. So this activates using daylight sensors. So when it gets nighttime, this turns off, pulls the observer back, and then when the new day starts, the observer gets pushed back to the note block, which powers it, and then pulses off the observers. And then it's the same thing over here. So basically, each new Minecraft day, the flying machines will go across. That gives us 20 minutes for ice to grow along here, or 24,000 ticks, if you like. But yeah, that'll do it for me for today, and it will also do it for me for about a month. So I am just heading into exam season at the end of the year. So I've got, yeah, about just over a week until my exams start. So I really need to crack down and focus on revising for those. And then, of course, over the exam season as well, I'll be studying and, you know, really getting focused on those. So I won't be making videos and I won't be streaming for about 4 weeks. I might do some planning stuff in between then, but none of that will be filmed or anything. I might do a few Instagram posts as well, and I will put a community post out to just alert people as well that don't see the video. But yeah, so I will be gone for about a month, but I will be back and ready to go for the summer. So yeah, but that will do for now. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you whenever I'm next making videos. But for now, enjoy this time lapse of the farm working.